Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel, 3:55 a.m. It is May the 15th. I've got my big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having a great day today. And I've got a question for you. Do you think there could be an open revolt within the Liberal Party of Canada? Do you think that they may turn on themselves? A couple of things have happened in the last 24 hours that got me thinking this way. I know it's outside the box thinking. I know that the Liberals always vote in lockstep. If you don't vote with the leader, you end up in a backbench and out of caucus. But a couple of things have happened. I'm going to show you two clips today. A couple of things have happened that have me thinking this way. Now, first off, I want to lead into this with a question that Mark Carney was asked the other day by Vashi Kapellis. He was asked if he trusted Donald Trump. Here's what he had to say.
Do you trust him?
I will work with him and negotiate with him, yeah.
But do you trust him?
Look, my answer is my answer.
Okay, I'll leave it on that.
He evades the question, but he answers the question. He does not trust Donald Trump. Now, if I was asked that question, I would say, yeah, I trust Donald Trump. And you might think I'm nuts. Johnny, you crazy? No, I trust Donald Trump to do what's right for the United States of America because that's why he got elected. And one of the things he promised was to bring jobs and industry back to the United States of America. I'll get to why there might be open revolt within the Liberal Party in just a moment, and a lot of people might really regret voting Liberal in just a moment, particularly in Ontario. But what's one of the crown jewels of industry in the United States and in Canada? It's the auto industry. Now, if you work in the auto industry in Canada right now, you might want to get your resume ready because you might have to look for a job very soon. This is not looking good, folks. Melanie Joly, the Minister of Industries, being asked questions. It's hard to hear what the reporter asked, so we'll tell you what she says. Quote, the PM says always have a plan for the worst. If the auto plants move south, can they be retooled? Can you redevelop the auto plants? Unquote. Here's what the minister had to say.
So I've already been in contact with the CEOs of GM, Ford, and also Stellantis. My goal is to be able to have good conversations with them before the end of the week. My message to the workers in the auto sector is we're there for you. We know that there's anxiety. We know you're concerned about losing shifts. We know we were concerned about losing your jobs, and we will always fight for your jobs. Notwithstanding that, we also have a $2 billion worth of support for the industry, the auto industry, the steel and aluminum industries that are affected by the trade war. One of my first decisions will be also to make sure that the workers can benefit from these investments.
It seems to me that the Minister of Industry is planning to bail out people who work in the auto industry who are going to lose their jobs. That's what that sounds like to me. It's like it's almost ready to happen. And 69 Liberals got elected in Ontario. A lot of them work in areas where people work in the auto industry and they might lose their jobs, and they're going to be pissed. Because it doesn't matter what else Mark Carney said during the election. All the promises, all the money he says he's going to spend, the number one reason why he got elected was because he said he could negotiate with Donald Trump a good deal for Canada. If the auto industry goes, the Liberal MPs are going to want to string him up by his neck because they're going to get phone calls from thousands of people who have lost their jobs in the automotive industry. And the people who voted for Mark Carney because he could negotiate with Donald Trump are going to be pissed off as well. Which brings us to the next thing, which is probably even more significant. There's open revolt within the Liberal Party right now regarding the climate change thing. Carney, depending on where he stood in Canada during the election campaign, if he was in BC, yeah, we'll have a pipeline, but if he was in Quebec, we won't have a pipeline. He took both sides of this issue, and he's kind of there now. He's still sitting on the fence, but he's got people within his party, lots of them, who are climate change zealots, just like Carney is himself, and there's no one who's a bigger climate change zealot than Stephen Guilbeault, the former Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Here he is climbing the CN Tower because of climate change, for Christ's sakes. The new person, what's her name? Julie DeBruzen is the new Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Here's a tweet from Julie from December of 2021, climate change is the #1 issue for Canada. I'm honored to be asked by the PM to serve as Parliamentary Secretary to the Ministers of Natural Resources and Environment and Climate Change. Looking forward to working with ministers. She was Stephen Guilbeault's right-hand man in the ministry. And Stephen Guilbeault walked out yesterday, knowing full well that this is a political football right now for Mark Carney. And he said this. You've probably seen the clip, but folks, open revolt is coming within the Liberal Party over this issue alone, I'm pretty sure.
Are you against the construction of pipelines in Canada? What I'm saying is that we already have an infrastructure in place that's not even at 50% capacity. So before we think about building new infrastructure, we should maximize the use of what already exists. And as I said to your colleague, the Canadian Energy Agency and the International Energy Agency. Yes, but the Prime Minister is saying, well, let's build pipelines, and you're pushing the brake on that. Well, what I'm saying is that the international and Canadian energy agencies are saying that demand for oil will peak by 2028, 2029, and there's no developer who's interested in building an east-west pipeline at this time.
Why would Stephen Guilbeault say this, knowing the political football that this is right now? And I fully expect him to take it all back within the next 12 to 18 hours because Mark Carney called him and told him to do it. Danielle Smith has weighed in on this. This pissed her off in no uncertain terms. Here's a tweet from yesterday. Canada's new Canadian identity minister, in quotes, because what the hell is that? Stephen Guilbeault just deceived Canadians saying we don't need more pipelines because the TMX pipeline is only 40% full and peak oil will be in 2 years. The facts are that TMX, which just opened and would have been built entirely with private dollars if Ottawa hadn't made it impossible for the original proponent to build it, is already close to capacity. Cost you $34 billion, by the way, in your money. Further, most estimates of demand for bitumen shows it growing for several more decades and that it will be needed to replace declining U.S. conventional oil fields. This is just another example of how misleading and destructive this former environment minister was to Alberta and Canada's economy and investment climate. We ask for the new environment minister, Julie Debruzen, to disavow his comments and commit to working with Alberta to build new pipelines to access new markets. The Prime Minister of the country, Mark Carney, Stephen Guilbeault, and this Julie Debruzen, climate change is their religion. This is bigger than ideology. They have a faith in this, that they're doing the right thing to save the planet. Mark Carney, Mr. Net Zero, Guilbeault, one of the biggest eco-zealots on the planet. And Julie Debruzen worked for the guy. And a lot of other liberals feel the same way. They want to keep oil in the ground, and they've done it. Economic suicide for 10 years. $500 billion in natural resources kept in the ground. Not all of it in oil and gas, but 120 billion, give or take a couple of billion in Alberta, left in the ground, oil and gas, because of the climate change zealotry of the Liberal Party of Canada. They might vote non-confidence in their own government if any of this goes to a vote. And that's why I say there might be open revolt. Because there is on camera right now. It happened with Stephen Guilbeault. Expect him to take it all back. I have a feeling he'll do that within the next 12 to 24 hours. And if you read the end of Danielle Smith's tweet, again, what does she say? She hopes that Environment Minister Julie Debruzen disavows his comments and commits to working with Alberta to build new pipelines to access new markets. I don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening at all. And the other awful thing is we can't trust this government at all. Another reason why Alberta, you need to leave. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate a subscription. Ring the bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next one.